Department was expected to publish the new COVID-19 regulations at midnight last night. Now, following the government's decision to lift the national state of disaster in April, the act, which was used to manage the disease for 2 years, also fell away. Draft regulations under the National Health Act were then introduced to manage COVID-19 for 30 days. That 30-day period has now lapsed. Several organizations have indicated that they will go to court if the regulations are made law. And yesterday, the Western Cape High Court heard a legal challenge by the non-profit organization Action for Freedom, arguing that the Health Minister, Joe Partler, had to provide 3 months for comments according to their interpretation of the law. For more on this, we joined on the line by the spokesman for, in fact, we were supposed to also join by Action for Freedom, Cornel Lochenberg, but unfortunately we can't get hold of him. We'll get to him. Oh, he's there. He's on the line. Okay, fantastic. Cornel, a very good morning to you and welcome.
Hi, good morning, Elvis.
Well, firstly, what is your reaction to the announcement now that was made by the Department of Health regarding the new sort of relaxed regulations?
Well, we do not have a reaction, we have a response. It is clear the minister has finally come to his senses, looking at page 8 of this notice, that he now gives the public 3 months of period for consultation, which is why we took the minister to court too. Now, the minister argued in court and in his own affidavit signed by his own hand that he had power to give the public just 30 days according to section 90, subsection 4, sub C, but it doesn't. The court criticized the government and said that they are wrong. So we were right all along. And now, all of a sudden, the government has come out with this document and put it on page 8 that he now gives the public, specific to Gazette number 46048, which is what we took the government to court about, and corrected the government about several times, which they didn't want to pay attention to. Now they have to. But there is still something wrong with this notice.
What's wrong with it?
Well, there are elements to question when you look at page 8 of this notice where Mr. Fowler now says that hereby further extend the comment period for these regulations, all published in Government Gazette number 46048 for 3 months from the date of publication of this notice. Does he refer to 3 months from the date of the 4th of May or 3 months from the date of the 15th of March? That's not clear.
So that is so you're still quibbling about that?
No, we're not quibbling. This is an area that the government may want to clarify to the public. Also, you will see on this notice there on page 8, it is only after we told the government in court that there are several other notices 1883, 1884, 1885, which has got different email addresses and is questionable as to whether people actually had the opportunity to comment to those. Now suddenly, they are only giving one email address after we told them so, because people were only emailing to mr.kani.furumela.health.gov.za. Now they're doing it properly after we told them in court. You should only have one email address. Now, further down to that notice, he says that the members of the public who submitted comments in the initial public consultation process do not need to submit these comments, as a comment already submitted will be considered part of this process. Question is, what about those people who received a notification that their emails had been deleted without being read? According to the minister, that these emails had been forwarded to legalreviews.health.gov.za. But what evidence is there that these emails had in fact been forwarded for consideration?
So what's your view now on the new regulations or the relaxed regulations that was published? Are you more okay with it, or do you think that there still need to be other changes?
Well, first of all, our court challenge was not about the regulations, because these were draft health regulations. They were not law yet. So just to be clear, there are outlets, and I will name them, such as EWN News, that went out and said that our court case got struck down for challenging the regulations. Let's be clear, we did not challenge the regulations, and that was categorically made clear in court. So it was only
the timeline for comment.
It was only the timeline for comment. So it would be helpful if such journalists actually pay attention to the case matter and not just write headlines. So you now see, as you're asking me about the regulations, they are still obviously issues of concern. You just have to look at, if you just look at page 6 of this government notice, for instance, under paragraph 3, these are proposed regulations, for instance, D, where it says all international travelers arriving at South African ports of entry must, it says, produce a valid certificate of a positive PCR COVID test recognized by the World Health Organization. Does that mean you need to be COVID positive to travel? You see what I'm saying?
I hear what you say.
There's so much. I appreciate Mr. Joe Fowler may be under pressure, but it would help for Mr. Joe Fowler to actually read the stuff and consider whether these things actually make sense. And also, he also makes a note on the last page to say that there's nothing new about what is being suggested here or being inserted into the regulations of 2017. Yeah. But there is. You've never had to be vaccinated for a notifiable medical condition. TB is a notifiable medical condition. Do you need a vaccine for TB?
So just in closing then, so do you think that the regulations and restrictions should have been done away with?
Well, the government themselves shot themselves in the foot. They declared the national state of disaster to an end. Why? Because they said they had everything in place. If everything was in place and they've achieved their objectives, why do you need national state of disaster regulations in continuation when you've ended it?
Mr. Lochenberg, there we've got to leave it. The spokesperson for the Action for Freedom, Cornel Lochenberg.